Jock, you often hear about guys kind of having maybe flat starts when they play the earlier game, but tonight or today you didn't necessarily have that flat start. What worked for you to kind of get out to the start?
Yeah, I think for someone like me, the way I play, it's all about, you know, whether or not the team's moving the ball and finding me when I'm open. You know, tonight it was as simple as that. I feel like early on, I was left open a few times, and JJ and Nikhil and all these guys, you know, they did a good job of finding me. So that's the way I play. I try and play good basketball. I just try and be solid, and if there's a shot there to take it, which there was in the first half tonight, I take it. I think that something I've kind of been, you know, trying to figure out is just in the flow of our offense, how I can impact the offensive glass a lot more and be more assertive getting down there, and especially with a team that, you know, plays a bit of 5 out and does a lot of small action. I find that I've kind of floated in the corner a little bit too much, where I think one of the things I do really well is you know, impact the offensive glass. So tonight I was really assertive in trying to get down there and do some work there, and yeah, I think that impacted my first half of tonight's game.
Hey John, Quinn just commended your ability to craft offensive glass. You also spoke about how, you know, they've only had one practice, so there's some signals that you may not recognize or maybe misinterpret. Have there any that come to mind? Maybe he made a call and you thought of something else?
Heaps of times he's called a play and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. So, you know, this is the first time I've been traded mid-season, and you know, with it comes that challenge of, you know, figuring out, you know, what we are running and how we're trying to play, and on top of that, you know, how other people on the team play. You know, I haven't played with anyone here except for Dyson, and you know, I think that you know, there's a lot of stuff that these guys do differently that I haven't seen in my career, and there's a lot of defensive coverages that they call different things here. So half the time, you know, I've been in these defensive coverages, I'm trying to adjust to, you know, the right lingo or whatever it might be. So yeah, this is all part of just the figuring out process, and you know, I think that my mentality right now is just control the controllables and try and play as hard as possible, and I think I've done a pretty good job of that. And you know, once this stuff kind of becomes a little more natural, and I figure out exactly how they want me to play and how the other guys play, you know, then it seems to go a lot easier.
Anything else? Does it help that maybe like CJ, Corey, Gabe, Buddy, JK are all in similar positions?
Yeah.
And you guys can kind of get together and maybe work on it a little bit?
More so than that, I think that the patience level is there from everyone around us, and that you know, we understand that there's a lot of moving pieces right now that are just trying to figure it out, and we haven't necessarily had the most practice time, you know, since we got back. We've had a couple of back-to-backs, and we got away from the break. So yeah, I think that there's just there's still a figuring out process, and once we add JK back into the mix, I think that you know, there'll be even more of that. So I think right now it's a bit of a patience game, which everyone's on the same page about, and I think we're doing a pretty good job handling that. Yeah.
What specifically in the fourth quarter do you think helped you guys with the switch?
Pardon me?
What do you think in the fourth quarter helped you guys with the switch?
Man, we got stops. You know, I think that the group that I was out there with at the start of the fourth, we gave up, I think it was maybe like a 12-4 run or something like that. And then those guys in the second half of that quarter, I think that they gave up like 2 points in the last 6 minutes or something or other. So defense wins games. I think that we did a really good job of that in the fourth quarter, and then obviously CJ turned it on and made some big shots. JJ did a really good job of kind of figuring out where he wanted the ball and getting to his spots, and I think that that's something we can continue to do better, is just helping him kind of get easier looks. And yeah, I think that to me tonight was like a mature game, you know, to close that out. We knew exactly what we were trying to accomplish, and we did a great job on the defensive end. And I think, you know, Dyson coming up with a lot of steals and getting deflections impacts that game in a massive way. So across the board, I just think the 5 guys out there did a really good job of closing that game out.
Thanks, Josh.
Cheers, guys.